Hi there, I'm Peter Millett, and in this week's 10-minute workshop, I'm going to see if I can use my Festool Domino with just one hand. Coming up next. So this is my 300th video, unlike the 100th and 200th before it, and probably the 400th in the future. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. It's just another day, another video in the ongoing experiment and the ongoing story. What I did want to do, though, is just have a quick chat with you about a couple of things that have come up in conversation. One of the great things about having a YouTube channel like this is that we have conversations with guys like yourselves, possibly folks whose paths I wouldn't normally cross. We end up having a good old chinwag about a variety of different things, and overwhelmingly these sort of conversations, whether through email or in the comments, are overwhelmingly supportive and positive, occasionally extremely funny, sometimes quite profane, occasionally puerile and argumentative, and they usually don't last long because their mums call them in for their tea and they have to go off to bed. And sometimes we have a conversation where it just brings me up short and really makes me think. And I had a couple of those over the last week, and I wanted to share those with you. One of them was from a comment from subscriber Chinsky Chat, who popped up in my 10 years of Domino video, one of them. We were chatting about the Domino XL. So I hadn't had one, and they do have one. And it turned out in the course of the conversation that Chinsky Chat is blind, registered blind. They have some residual sight. I'm assuming it's a he, I don't actually know. They have some residual eyesight, but very poor, nowhere near enough, he says, to do hand-cut mortise and tendons. I have reasonably good eyesight, even despite my glasses. I don't think I'm good enough to do hand-cut mortise and tendons either. But they described getting a Domino XL as being life-changing. And I've got to confess, I'd never thought of it in that way. For me, it's like a production machine. It's incredibly convenient, it's fast, and it's effective. The Domino's got a bit of a slightly sneering sort of attitude from some quarters. Oh, well, it's a production machine, like, you know, a real craftsman will hand whittle you a Queen Anne leg out of a piece of fallen yew with nothing but a blunt Stanley knife, obviously. So a Domino's, for me, is all about convenience and speed. And it had never occurred to me that it would enable somebody to continue their hobby, somebody with virtually no eyesight. And that's an extraordinary, powerful thing to think about. What an application of technology, of a tool like that. And the other thing that came up in conversation with somebody else, this one started in email from a guy called Leo Winstanley. Now, Leo shot me an email through the channel email, went to 10minuteworkshop.com, hit up the contacts panel there and picked up the email from there. If you do it that way, then it'll reach me faster. If you go through the email address you find in the About section, there's a whole load of filters and things applied to that, so it'll take me longer to get to it. So go to 10minuteworkshop.com and pick up the email address from there. Leo has just started a little channel, as all channels start small, called Handicraft, with an I, Handicraft. And he asked me to give him an opinion on a couple of bits and pieces about the YouTube side of things. So hopefully I've helped a little bit with that. And it came up in conversation again that Leo had actually had a serious car accident last year. And since May, he's only had the use of one hand. The accident was caused a lot of damage to the nerves and muscles of his right hand and arm. So although functionality may return, it's a long way into the future. So since May, and for the foreseeable future, Leo's only got one hand. And the work that he does, the channel's all about sort of small-scale crafting type stuff, so chopping boards and tea light holders and that sort of thing. I'd encourage everybody to go and have a look at Leo's channel. I think he's got a couple of subscribers. I'm one of them. Go and have a look, give him a follow. He deserves all the encouragement he can get, because the amount of time that these projects take him is extraordinary. I don't know if I would seriously have the resolve to do them if I had to do that if I had to do what he does, everything has to be clamped down because he can't hold something down and sand it or drill it or whatever else. Go and have a look. Links, of course, down in the video description below to Leo's channel, Handicraft. Leo started woodworking as a form of physical therapy, and the YouTube channel is a continuation of that. So go and have a look, give him a follow. He also popped up in my YouTube comments again on the Domino, 10 Years of Domino series, and asked me if I thought he'd be able to use a domino with one hand. And the truth is, I've no idea. So I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try using my domino with one hand. And if I'm going to do that, well, you're coming with me. So let's get the obvious thing out of the way first. The domino was absolutely not designed to be used with one hand. Everything about it, the way you hold the machine against the workpiece and plunge with the second hand, it just seems like it isn't appropriate to try it with single-handed. Leo knows this, and I've recommended, he realizes that he'll need to be doing some clamping, and I've recommended that if he does go in this direction, and it'll be a significant investment for him, then a dummy plate like this, whether it's a bought one from Seneca Woodworking like mine, or possibly a homemade one, it will be a worthwhile investment, because that does give you a much easier reference, especially for those down cutting dominoes. But the thing that we're going to do is simply join two pieces together in an L shape like this. They're the same depth and the same thickness, so it's just as if you're having a carcass and a base of a bookcase or something, and that's what we're going to do. So dominoes all set to the narrow setting. Got my hand tucked away in my pocket. Let's get this workpiece clamped up. So domino down. I'm going to balance that. I keep trying to use my hand. Balance that. It's registered against the edge. So I'd normally leave that running and move it over, of course, but I can't do that this time. Okay, so on to the next couple of dominoes. So we're doing the ones on the side of the carcass now. Again, clamping is surprisingly difficult with these clamps with one hand. This is where we're going to be problematic, because I haven't really got anywhere to clamp it to, although using the domino plate is great because you get the full effect of the base on the workpiece. You can't really clamp it anywhere, so I think what I'm going to do is just put my leg against it. I don't know how safe this is, but bit of cramp. So there you go, simple L-shaped domino joint with one hand in my pocket. I never thought that would be a particular problem, to be perfectly honest. The actual usage of a domino to make those kind of construction, and probably easier than many other methods. Where I think the problem will come is in the purely practical things, like the headache of connecting the hose like that. The mains cable isn't too bad, but changing bits would be a real headache. Let me show you. I'll keep my right hand sort of out of the way. Easy enough to release the front sort of fence assembly, although totally easy. And then the next headache, of course, is finding the right position for the spindle lock. That's going to have to be a matter of a certain amount of trial and error. Normally you just press the spindle lock in and turn the bit until it caught in the cutout. Right, there you go. So with that in, now we can probably get a clamp on that. Yeah, that's locked. But now what do you do? You've got to clamp that down in order to get enough purchase on that to get that undone. And of course, because it's a round body designed for hand holding, it's really hard to do. Maybe if you had a workmate or something like that, you could clamp it in the jaws of that. Yeah, Black & Decker workmate, clamp the clamp in the jaws, then you can probably have enough purchase on that to turn it. But as it is, it's just not going to happen. And then these. Yeah, finally. Okay. Clamped in my knees. And then you can undo it. So there we are. Can Festool's Domino be used with just one hand? Well, yes, clearly it can, even though it was never obviously designed for that. I guess if one good hand is all you have, then you make the most of it. Hopefully with a bit of forethought, you won't be jamming the thing between your legs to get the bit out, like I did. But hopefully, Leo, that answers your question. If you decide to make that investment, then yes, you absolutely can use a Festool Domino with one hand. And that's it for my 300th video. Nothing celebratory, nothing splashy, but hopefully it's given you something to think about. It's certainly given me plenty to think about, and I've never been so relieved to be using my right hand again. But that's it for this week's video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.